Homeland Security calls out Twitter. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this letter to Mr. Jack Dorsey, the Chief Executive Officer of Twitter, from, well, the head of Homeland Security. Now the issue is, or the acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf, the issue is Twitter has been censoring, posts from Trump and others just asking questions or being critical of the election process underway. It is just blatant. It is blatant. I don't understand how Twitter can consider itself not to be a publisher with the curating they do on their platform. So I thought we should have a look at this letter. So dear Mr. Dorsey, I write to you about Twitter's recent censorship of Mark Morgan, the senior official performing the duties of Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Not only was Twitter's act of censorship unjustified, the tweet is supported by data. There you go. It is disturbing, as the Department of Homeland Security and other federal agencies continue to rely on Twitter to share important information with the U.S. public. Your censorship poses a threat to our security. Hours after you concluded testifying before the Senate Judiciary Committee on October 30, 2020, Twitter suspended Mr. Morgan for tweeting, CP&B and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers continue to build new wall every day. Every mile helps us stop gang members, murderers, sexual predators, and drugs from entering our country. It's a fact. Walls work. Well, they do. Traditionally, they do. That's why every city-state used to have walls and borders. That's, history. But, we're in the Twitter age now, aren't we? We're in the soundbite age. History doesn't matter. It's not like we can learn from it. Twitter's moderators, apparently triggered by the tweet, emailed Mr. Morgan to say, you may not promote violence against, threaten, or harass other people on the basis of race, ethnicity, national orientation, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious affiliation, age, disability, or serious disease. He didn't. He didn't. Did anyone see that in his tweet that we just read? The acting commissioner's tweet did none of these things. Read it, watch the video. The fact that the tweet was removed and the account locked is startling. It is hard to understand how anyone believes Mr. Morgan's tweet promoted violence, threats, or harassment, especially considering that the facts about the border wall system support the tweet. Now, the thing is here, Twitter doesn't care that, the same thing on YouTube. They won't care if it promotes it. They'll care if it just mentions those words. Here in Twitter, it just mentions those words. On YouTube, if I do a video about a protest, I'm not promoting it, but they won't monetize it, probably, frankly, because advertisers don't want their brand associated with things like that, and I can understand that. So that maybe they just need to be clear about, we don't want these particular words used on our platform, but they're not consistent with how they, who they choose to censor, are they? It always seems to be the political bias of the members of these organizations really does seem to be coming through. Whether you know it or not, CPB guards the front line of the American homeland. CPB repels and arrests thousands of violent criminal gang members each year. CPB rescues young girls who are forced into cross-border sex trafficking. CPB intercepts dangerous drugs and contrabands, including enough of the opioid fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child in the United States several times over. Now, my understanding is they've got a horrific problem over there with that. CPB fulfills the United States' most obvious and essential law enforcement and national security responsibility to the people of our country. Your company may choose to be ignorant of these facts, but it is no less censorship when you choose to suppress them. There was no reason to remove Mr. Morgan's tweet from your platform other than ideological disagreement with the speaker. Such censorship is disturbing. Twitter's conduct censoring U.S. government officials also endangers the national security. It is dangerous and damaging when any publisher arbitrarily and unfoundedly decides, as it did here, that the facts and policies of a particular presidential administration constitute violence in order to censor them. In the case of Twitter, this can cut off an essential mode of communication between U.S. government officials and the public. In doing so, Twitter is sabotaging public discourse regarding important national and homeland security issues. Further, it is clear that Twitter's gross censorship was intentional and not accidental. Twitter notified CPB that it had censored Mr. Morgan's message and locked his account. In response, CPB communicated with Twitter's Office of Government Affairs and also appealed Twitter's censorship decision, but Twitter denied the appeal. And Twitter's Office of Government Affairs ignored CPB's communication. Only after CPB reached out to Twitter's Office of Government Affairs a second time and went public with this censorship, then finally did Twitter admit its bad judgment and unlock the account. I call on you to commit to never again censoring content on your platform and obstructing Americans' unalienable right to communication with each other and with their government and its officials, including the thousands of law enforcement officers at the DHS who work vigilantly and diligently to protect your safety every day. And this is written by Chad F. Wolf, the acting secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Well, I mean, do you think Twitter are doing that with all the warnings they're placing all over some of the tweets now coming out a few days after this letter was written with the election and ongoing? What do you think, everyone? I mean, they're a private company, but, well, they're playing a big role in the ability of the government to communicate with the people. So then they need to ensure they're not partisan, because they'll impede that public discourse. What are your thoughts, everyone? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. If you're a fan and want to support this channel, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or KuCoin. You can buy merch from Heise Says, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. I'll see you all next time.